All right, guys, if you would grab out your circles and composite figures quiz review, and let's take a look at our questions. Okay, on the front side, it gives me an example here, of how to solve for the area of a circle. And you guys can also use your star reference sheet. If you do not have your spiral with you, which hopefully you should, it's taped in there. If you have lost it at any point in time whatsoever, you guys can always just Google, okay, Texas 7th grade math star reference sheet. Okay, you guys can always Google that and it'll pull up this reference sheet that you will receive. All right, and this is what we'll use to help us solve our equations, or sometimes it's actually written here. Okay, so I need to find the area of the circle when the radius is given. All right, so before I continue, I'm going to write my 3 steps. Always, always, always remember your 3 steps. Step 1 is to find formula. Okay. Step 2 is to plug in what you know. And step 3 is to, if I can spell, solve. Okay. And step 3 is to solve. All right. Looking at question number 1, my circle, I have a radius. This is my radius right here of 8 yards. Okay. And I'm locating the area of each of my circles. So I'm going to write my first step, and I see that my area of a circle, so circle area is pi r squared. So area is equal to pi r squared. And I have the radius, which is 8. So step 2, I'm going to plug in what I know. In 6th grade, pi is equal, or not 6th grade, sorry, in 7th grade, pi is equal to 3.14. And I'm going to do r squared, which this is really pi times r. So times 8 times 8. And then step 3 is to solve. All right, so I'm going to do 8 times 8 first, and that's going to be 64 times 3.14. Let's go over here. 3.14 times 64. 4 times 4 is 16. 4 plus 1 is 5. 4 times 3 is 12. Placeholder. 6 times 4 is 24. 6 times 1 is 6 plus 2 is 8. Then 6 times 3 is 18. And I'm going to add. I get 6. 5 and 4 is 9. 8 and 2 is 10. 8 and 2 is 10 again. 1 and 1 is 2. I see I have 2 place values here, none here. So I'm going to move my decimal 2 times. To get area is 200.96 yards squared. 200.96 yards squared. All right, let's take a look at number 2. Let's try it again. I have the radius of 5. So my first step is the formula, A equals pi r squared. Second step is to plug in what I know, 3.14 times 5 times 5. And then third step, area is equal to 3.14 times, 5 times 5 is 25. So I'm going to have 3.14 times 25. 5 times 4 is 20. 5 times 1 is 5 plus 2 more is 7. 5 times 3 is 15. Placeholder. 2 times 4 is 8. 2 times 1 is 2. 2 times 3 is 6. 0. 8 and 7 is 15. 5 and 2, 5, 6, 7, 8. 6 plus 1 is 7. I have 2 place values, so I go over 2 to have 78.5 yards squared. Yards squared. All right, number 3. Let me move it out some. There we go. Number 3, I have another circle with a radius of 11. So my formula again, A equals pi r squared. Step 2, A is equal to 3.14 times 11 times 11. Step 3, area is equal to 3.14. And I'm going to use my calculator to help me. 11 times 11 is 121 times 3.14 and I get an area of 379.94 yards squared. Okay. All right, let's take a look at the back. All right, so I am asking for the area of a circle again, but this time I have the diameter. Okay, so let's take a look at number 4. So I'm going to write my formula again. A equals pi r squared. Number 2, area is equal to 3.14 times, well, wait. R is my radius. I know the diameter. My diameter is 6. How do I get from the diameter to the radius? Well, I need to take 6 and divide it by 2 to get my radius is 3. So times 3 times 3. Step 3, A is equal to 3.14 times 9. I need to solve. All right, 9 times 4 is 36. 9 times 1 is 9. Plus 3 is 12. 9 times 3 is 27. Plus 1 more is 28. 2 place values, 2 decimals. So my area is 28.26 yards squared. All right, number 5. I have a diameter of 14. Let's go ahead and find the radius. Divide it by 2 to get a radius of 7. All right, so step 1, A is equal to pi r squared. Step 2, plug in what I know. A is equal to 3.14 times 7 times 7. Step 3 is to solve. A is equal to, well, 3.14 times 7 is 49. Okay. 3.14 times 49. Actually, let's just go ahead and use our calculator to help us out here. Make it go by a little easier. A is equal to 153.86 yards squared. All right, number 6. I'm given the diameter of 12. So diameter equals 12, which 12 divided by 2 is equal to 6, and that is my radius. All right, so step 1, A is equal to pi r squared. Step 2, plug in. A is equal to 3.14 times 6 times 6. Step 3 is to solve. A is equal to 3.14 times 36. And then area is equal to 113.04 yards squared. 113.04 yards squared. All right, let's take a look at the next section. And I'm asked to find the circumference of a circle when the radius is given. So circumference and radius. All right, so I've got number 7, and I see the radius is 5. I'm going to take a look at my star reference sheet. I'm going to find circumference and find circle. I have 2 equations I can use. C equals 2 pi r and C equals pi d. Since I know the radius, I'm going to use this one. Now, you can use pi d as long as you take your radius and you multiply it by 2 to get your diameter, then you can use this. But in this instance, I'm going to go ahead and use this one because I know the radius. All right. So my formula is C equals 2 pi r. I'm going to plug in what I know. So C is equal to 2 times 3.14 times the radius of 5. C is equal to, well, I'm going to do 2 times 5, which is 10, times 3.14. And C is equal to 314, I think. I'm almost positive. Nope, I'm off. 31.4 inches. And it's just inches. We did not find the area, so we do not have to do the square. All right, let's take a look at number 8. I have the radius of 15 again, so I'm going to use the same formula. C equals 2 pi r. Step 2, plug in. C equals 2 times 3.14 times 15. Step 3, C is equal to, well, 2 times 15 is 30 times 3.14. Okay. And I'm going to say C is equal to, well, 3.14 times 30, 0, 0, 0, placeholder, 12, 4, 9, 2, 4, 9. There, I have 94.20 yards. 94.20 yards. All right. Numbers 9 and 10, it's asking us to find the circumference when the diameter is given. Okay. So if we remember back on our yellow sheet, I could find it if I have it. So I'm going to do pi d. So my first step is the formula, C equals pi d. Step 2, plug in. C equals 3.14 times 28. Step 3 is to solve. C is equal to, well, I'm going to go ahead and use my calculator for this one. We'll work it out on the next. Is 87.92 yards. 87.92 yards. All right. Number 10, I have the diameter of 12. My formula, C equals pi d. Step 2, plug in what I know. C is equal to 3.14 times 12. Step 3 is to solve. So 3.14 times 12. 8, 2, 6, 0, 4, 1, 3. 8, 6, 7, 3. 2 placeholders to have 37.68 feet. 37.68 feet. All right, let's look at the next one, number 11. All right, so a cow is tethered with a rope that is 20 feet long. Okay, what is the maximum area that the cow can graze? Okay, so we're going to pretend I've got a stake right here, and the cow can go out 20 feet. Okay, the cow at max is going out 80 feet, and he's going to graze all the way around at the max area, or the maximum, okay, to create a circle. Say he goes in halfway, and he goes all the way around again. And then he goes 3/4 all the way around again. Okay? The max that he can go out is 20, which from the center to the outside far edge, this is our radius. And I want to know the area of how much he can graze. So I know that I'm going to use my area formula of pi r squared. And I know by looking at my picture in this that the radius is 20, so I don't have to find that. So I'm going to have A is equal to 3.14 times 20 times 20. And then I'm going to solve it. Area is equal to 3.14 times 400 to have area equal 1,256 feet squared. 1,256 feet squared. Double check some math there. Yep. All right, number 12. Stephen jogs around a circular field with a diameter of 30 yards. What is the circumference of the track? Okay, so I know the diameter, and I want to know the circumference, which is also the perimeter. So I'm going to use C equals pi d. And then I'm going to plug in for my circumference. So my diameter, 0.14 times 30. Step 3, solve. So 3.14 times 30 would be 94.2 yards. But I have a second question. It says if he does 40 laps, what is the total distance he could run? Okay, so this The diameter is all of it. So here's your circle, here's your diameter. Okay, it's 30. If he starts here and he goes all the way around, and one distance around, it's 94.2 yards. If he makes 40 of those laps, how many distances, or yards, how many yards did he go? So I'm going to take my answer, 94.2, and I'm going to multiply him by 40, 0, 0, 0, 8, 16, 36, 37, to have 376.8 yards. Oh, not 0.8. I'm off. I missed my placeholder. I missed my placeholder right there. That's supposed to be a 0. 3,768 yards. There we go. All right, number 13. A minute hand of a clock is 16 inches long. Find the distance traveled by the tip of the minute hand in 1 hour. So here's our minute hand right here. He's 16 inches long, and he's going to travel all the way around the clock to come back. So he creates a circle. So he's from the middle to the outside. So that means my 16 is my radius. And I want to find the distance traveled, which means I'm wanting to find the circumference of my question. So I'm going to use C equals 2 pi r since I have the radius. Plug in what I know. 2 times 3.14 times 16. 3. Solve. 16 times 2. 12, 3. 32 times 3.14. C is equal to 100.48 inches. 100.48 inches. All right, number 14. The diameter of a pizza is 45 inches. What is the maximum area available for toppings? Well, we know a pizza is a circle, so I'm going to say not C. A is equal to pi r squared. Okay, well, my diameter is 45, which means I need to do 45 divided by 2, and that's going to get me 22.5 for my radius, because I have to have my radius to solve for area. So my area is equal to 3.14 times 22.5 times 22.5. And then we're going to solve. All right, we're going to use our handy dandy calculator because this gets really large. 22.5 times 22.5 is 506.25 times 3.14. And our area is 1,589.60, and I'm going to round to the hundredths, 63 inches squared. 1,589.63 inches squared. All right. Number 15. So for 15, 16, and 17, I am to find the area of the compound shapes. Okay, so I'm going to find the area of each known shape, and then I'm going to add the two areas together. Okay, so I see two shapes right here. My first shape I see is a rectangle, and the second shape I see is a semicircle. All right, so I'm going to look back at my formula sheet, and I'm going to find the area of a rectangle, and it's base times height. So step 1, area is equal to base times the height. Step 2 is to plug in. Well, my base is 12 times the height is 5. Step 3 is to solve. Well, 12 times 5 is 60. All right, now for our semicircle. So here's the thing with the semicircle. A semicircle, okay, with this, it's half of a circle, okay, is our semicircle. So I'm going to take my formula for area of a circle, pi r squared, and I'm going to half it. So I'm going to cut it in half, and I'm going to say divide by 2. All right. So step 2 is to plug in what I know. So area is equal to 3.14. Well, since my 5 is here, I know this is going to be 5. Well, that's my diameter. Okay, so diameter is 5, which means I need to find the radius. So 5 divided by 2 is 2.5, and I multiply by 2.5 twice. Okay, and then step 3 is to solve. So I'm going to do 2.5 times 2.5 first to get 6.25 times 3.14. And I'm going to round to the nearest hundredth to get 19.63. Now, I have the area of the semicircle and the area of the rectangle. What do I need to do with those two numbers? I'm going to have to add them together. So I have 19.63 plus 60, 3.697 to get a grand total area of 79.63 inches squared. 79.63 inches squared. All right, number 16. I need to find the area of the two shaded figures. So I'm going to split this figure up right here. I see that I have a 16 by 16, so this looks like to be a square. Now, I need to infer what this length of this side is going to be. I see that from here to here is 8. So from here to here is 8. Well, if I do 16 minus 8, I know that this side length here is going to be 8. So it looks like I have two squares attached to itself. So I have a square and a square. Now, to find the formula of a square, it is the same formula as up here to find the area of a rectangle. Is base times height. And let's go with this first big square here. That I have a base and a height of 16, so 16 times 16. Step 3 is to solve. So I'm going to have 16 times 16, and that's 256 inches squared. My second rectangle, I'm going to still have the same formula. Area equals base times height. I have area is equal to 8 times 8. Plug in is what I did, and then now I need to solve. Well, 8 times 8 is 64. And I have two figures, and they're both shaded, so I'm going to add these two numbers up together. So I'm going to have 256 plus 64, 0, 1. Well, 6 plus 5 is 11, plus 1 more is 12. 2 plus 1 is 3. So my total area for this composite figure is 320 inches squared. 320 inches squared. All right, and then the last one on this page, number 17. I have two figures again, and I'm going to split this down. It looks like I have a rectangle and a trapezoid, or a square and a trapezoid. So I have a square, and then I have a trapezoid here. So I'm going to assume that this is a square and that this side is 12 and this side is 12. So all four of my sides are 12. Well, if from here to here is 12, what is this distance? So it's 18 minus 12, which is 6. So the height of my trapezoid is 6. Okay, so now I have all the pieces of information inside of my figure. Now I can find the area. Well, remember, the formula for area of a square is the same as a rectangle. Area is equal to base times height. So I'm going to have area is equal to 12 times 12. And my area is 144 feet square. Now, I have not had a trapezoid yet. So I'm going to look back at my star reference sheet. I'm going to find trapezoid underneath area. And I'm going to move my little finger over here. And I see that the formula is A is equal to 1/2 B1 plus B2 times H. Okay. So I'm going to have area is equal to 1/2 times B1 plus B2 times the H. So base 1 plus base 2 times the height. All right, so I'm going to look at my trapezoid, and I have area is equal to 1/2. One of my bases is 12. The other base is 5, and the height is 6. And then step 3 is to solve. So 1/2, well, by PEMDAS, okay, so you have to remember when we look at this, P-E-M-D-A-S, MDAS that I have to solve in order of operation. So I have to do 12 plus 5 first. Well, 12 plus 5 is 17, okay, times the height of 6. All right, all of these numbers I'm multiplying together. So I'm going to do 17 times 6 first. So 17 times 6 is 102 times 1/2, or it's really divided by 2, and half of 102 is 51 feet squared. And since this is a combined composite figure, I'm going to add my two areas up together. So 144 plus 51 is 591 to give me a grand total area of 195 feet squared. 195 feet squared. All right. Next section. All right, it's asking us to find the area of the shaded area. Okay, so I'm going to find the area of each known shape, and then I'm going to subtract the areas from the two shapes. Okay, so I see that I have two shapes here. I have a triangle, and I have a full circle. Okay, so I do not believe, oh, have we had a triangle yet? Nope, we have not had a triangle yet. All right, so let's go back to our reference sheet. I found triangle, and I'm going to look up the area of our triangle is 1/2 b times h, or 1/2 base times the height. So area is equal to 1/2 bh. The base of my triangle is 16. So area is equal to 1/2 times 16 times the height is 19. And then I'm going to do 16 times 19 first. So 16 times 19, that is 304. And then 1/2 times 304, or 304 divided by 2, is 152. Okay, so now I need to find the area of my circle. Well, remember our formula is area is equal to pi r squared. I see that I have 5, and this is my radius. So I already know my radius. So I'm going to have 3.14 times 5 times 5. Area is equal to 3.14 times 25. And then I have an area of 3.14 times 25 is 78.5. Okay, now that I have the area of the triangle and the area of the circle, I want to know what's the area of the shaded regions. So now I'm going to take my two areas and I'm going to subtract them from one another. So I'm going to do 152 minus 78.5, borrow and carry, decimal, borrow and carry, that's what, 3, borrow and carry, and that's 7, to get a grand total of 73.5 yards squared. Well, not grand total, but what is left over. All right, number 19. I have a square, 25 by 25, and a parallelogram. All right, so our parallelogram and our square. Let's go ahead and do the square first, since we've had him before. To have area is equal to base times the height. Area is equal to 25 times 25. Area is equal to 25 times 25, 625. Now, we have not had a parallelogram before, but look, a rectangle or parallelogram is the same formula as a rectangle and a square. So we're going to have to do the same process again. So I'm going to have area is equal to base times the height. Area is equal to, well, my base is 13. And I want you guys to notice, in a parallelogram, we take the height of the actual figure. We do not do the slant height. So I'm going to take this height, which is 10. And then step 3, I have area is equal to, well, my 10th trick is take the whole times the 1, so 13, and add the 0 to have 130. Now I want to find just the shaded, which means I'm going to subtract the two numbers together. So 625 minus 130 5. I have to borrow and carry again. So 7, 8, 9. And then 5 minus 1 is 4 to give me a leftover area of 495 feet squared. 495 feet squared. All right, and then number 20, I have a rectangle and a triangle. So I have my rectangle here, and then I have my triangle here. My area formula for a rectangle is A is equal to B times H. So area is equal to 22 times 11. Giving me area is equal to 242. Now for my triangle, we just learned our formula is 1/2 base times the height. Plug in what I know. So area is equal to 1/2 times, well, my base, knowing from a rectangle, one of our rules is both, I have two sides that are similar. So if this is 11, this is 11. So my base is 11 times the height, which is 5. Step 3 is to solve. So I'm going to have 1/2 times 55 to give me an area of 55 divided by 2, 27.5. Now I need to take my two areas and I'm going to subtract them. So 242 minus 27.5. Borrow and carry. Borrow and carry. 3, 4. Oh, decimal. 3 minus 2 is 1. 2 minus 0 is 2. To give me a leftover area of 214.5 yards squared. I'm going to go ahead and box that one in. All right, we just have a few more left. Okay, number 21. All right, so the directions, it says write the formula 4 times. Pi equals circumference over diameter. And guess what? If I'm going to do it, you need to do it. All right, pi equals circumference over diameter. Pi is equal to circumference. Whoops. Over diameter. Guess what? Again, pi equals circumference, U-M-F-E-R-E-N-C-E, over, what is it? Diameter. And one more time, pi is equal to circumference over diameter. Okay? What you guys would normally see it is pi equals C over D, where C means circumference and D means diameter. All right, and then number 25, how can you rearrange the formula to solve for circumference? So I have pi is equal to C over D. How can I rearrange this in order to get C by itself? Because right now I'm doing C divided by D is equal to pi. Well, I'm going to do the opposite of what I see. So I see division, so I'm going to multiply by D on this side. What I do to one side, I must do to the other. So D's cancel out, and I'm left with C is equal to pi D. Well, wait. I just took that formula, rearranged it, and I found one of my circumference formulas. Okay? Because take a look at number 16. What is another formula for circumference? There's two ways I can write it. Way number 1 is C equals pi D. Another way is C equals 2 pi r. C is equal to 2 pi r. All right, and then the back page. So it says for 27 through 29, label each picture with the correct vocabulary word. I've got circumference, diameter, and radius. Picture for 27, it is a line going from edge to edge through the center, and this is known as our diameter. I have a picture of a line going from the center to the outside. This is our radius. Oop. And then the last one, I have a picture with arrows going all the way around the circle, and this is known as our circumference. It is known as our circumference. And last but not very least, number 30, fill in the blank. The diameter of a circle is blank the measure of the radius of the circle. So my diameter of the circle is twice the measure of the radius. Okay? And the radius of a circle is blank the measure of the diameter is half the diameter of the circle. Okay? So to find radius, it's diameter divided by 2. And to find diameter, it's radius times 2. I'm going to say to find here. And I'm going to say to find. There you go. Now you can see. If you have any questions, please let